One of the most successful businessmen ever is Elon Musk, who has worked his way to the top of several industries. You may wonder what his daily routine looks like so you can duplicate it and become successful too, perhaps become a billionaire as well. But can you keep up with Musk's regimen of duties and activities? Find out as we dive into a day in the life of Elon Musk. Nobody has ever changed the world on 40 hours a week. Elon Musk recognized this early in his life and put in the work, which is why these days you will find him controlling multiple billion-dollar businesses and perched at the top of the list of richest persons ever. Like the rest of us mortals, Musk has 24 hours per day to achieve whatever he wants. But what makes the difference is how efficiently he spends his 24-hour allotment and how much of it he spends on his work. And make no mistake about it, Musk is not the business executive that spares himself. He pushes himself like he has a lot to prove, which makes it baffling that he keeps up with such a grueling schedule, even after all his astronomical success. I mean, what kind of billionaire sleeps on the factory floor? Many people wonder if Musk is not a superhuman or even an alien when they hear about how he works up to 140 hours per week. How is that even possible? The CEO might have slowed down a little thanks to family commitments and other reasons, but his 90 hours work week is still among the most intimidating. But then this is kind of inevitable when you control companies like Tesla with the ambition to take over road transport with electric vehicles, SpaceX to conquer space and put humans permanently on Mars, Twitter to, well, rule the world, Neuralink to make machines out of humans or see how close we can approach that, the Boring Company to put the Tesla-conquered roads under the ground, and more. And what are Musk's scorecards for his grueling schedule? The list is so long that it can become boring. For instance, since its inception, SpaceX has set numerous records. These are some examples. The first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach orbit, Falcon 1, the first private company to successfully launch orbit and recovery spacecraft in 2010 with SpaceX Dragon, the first private company to dock with the International Space Station in 2012, the first vertical takeoff and vertical propulsive landing for an orbital-class booster, the first orbital-class booster to be reused, the first private company to send astronauts into orbit and the International Space Station, and many more. In 2022, every SpaceX booster was successfully landed, with one booster, B-1058, landing 15 times. Additionally, booster B-1062 was refurbished in just 21 days between flights. SpaceX also has flights booked for its Starship rocket, which is still in development, with a list of clients including the likes of NASA. SpaceX also grew Starlink, a satellite internet service provider, from scratch into a business with over 1 million subscribers in just a few years. And it's crazy to think that Musk started this business just so he could fund his dream of colonizing Mars. In short, for a company that didn't exist 20 years ago, SpaceX has made huge strides in not only becoming the world's leading provider of launch services, but also reshaping the space industry, which was previously dominated by national government agencies. SpaceX is definitely making progress toward its goal of making humanity multiplanetary. And what about Tesla? You may become more inspired to adopt Musk's daily routine when you see what the company achieved in 2022 alone. Tesla expanded the supercharger network to all US states, as well as reached 40,000 rapid chargers worldwide. It also opened the network to non-Tesla EVs in 15 European countries. Another triumph was the establishment of 2 factories in Texas, the United States, and Berlin, Germany in a single year, with Giga Berlin promptly starting to ship Model Ys. The Model Y and Model 3 topped the volume charts for American-made vehicles. In addition, the Model S and Model Y received the highest possible safety ratings from Euro NCAP. The Tesla Model Y in particular broke many records within the year, including the Volkswagen Beetle's record for the most sold car in Norway, which was untouchable for 5 decades. Tesla included 87 new significant features in 11 over-the-air software updates to its vehicles, one of which was, wait for it, Steam Gaming. Who even comes up with ideas such as these? The electric vehicle manufacturer saw the 2 millionth vehicle roll off its lines in Fremont and Nevada. It also established a megapack factory in Lathrop, California with a capacity of 10,000 batteries per year. This is in addition to the launch of Tesla Electric in Texas, which allows Powerwall owners to generate and sell sustainable energy. The company also made its first delivery of the long-awaited semi-truck to PepsiCo. This is in addition to Tesla China roaring ahead at full speed. Musk also took time out of his stuffed schedule last year to push through his acquisition of Twitter. Sure, that came with a lot of drama, but nothing stops a determined man that is ready to put in the work. However, perhaps what is the most inspiring about taking Twitter private is that Musk is not reluctant to add on even more work. You must love to work to even consider such a thing. In a short space of time, Musk trimmed the fat, making Twitter's workforce leaner but far more efficient with multiple features added. Of course, not all features worked and some had to be reversed, but how else do you know what works and what doesn't? So, can you duplicate Musk's daily routine? Let's find out. What does Musk's morning look like? We hear a lot about morning routines these days and how important it is to develop our own. While Musk's mornings may not be for everyone, especially if you are not so intent on changing the world, there is a certain get-up-and-go vibe to it that is certainly motivating. Elon starts his day at 7 a.m. after about 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep, which he refers to as his sweet spot. He is no longer performing optimally if he gets more or less sleep than that. Musk stated during a Reddit AMA, "Sleep is really great. I find that if I don't get enough sleep, I become irritable. I could fall below a certain level of sleep, and even though I'd be awake for longer, I'd get less done because my mental acuity would suffer." But how many hours of sleep do you actually need? According to the National Sleep Foundation, healthy adults require 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Babies, young children, and teenagers require even more sleep to allow for proper growth and development. People over the age of 65 should also get 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. These recommendations, however, serve as a general guideline for how much sleep children and adults require, as the ideal amount of sleep varies from person to person. As a result, the guidelines specify a time range for each group. The recommendations also acknowledge that for some people with unique circumstances, there is some wiggle room on either side of the range for acceptable, albeit not optimal, sleep. Choosing how much sleep you need requires taking into account your overall health, daily activities, and other factors. So Musk may have won the genetic lottery and could get by with a little sleep while the rest of us have to slumber for longer. You might think it takes rising up early in the morning to be successful, but Musk actually opens his eyes at about 7 a.m. What is important is to find what works for you and manage your time optimally. But what happens when Musk stirs awake in the morning? Although Musk does not appear to be overly regimented in the morning, he does have one non-negotiable: a morning shower. He claims that without it, he is not in the right frame of mind to have a productive day. His morning showers are where he solves work problems or generates new ideas. Well, shower power has been confirmed by experts in multiple fields, so you may want to duplicate this part of Musk's life. There are several reasons why showering can help you nail bright ideas that can change the world, and some of them are pretty interesting. Take a look around your shower room. It's warm, comfortable, and most likely familiar. It's a relaxing environment where you can let your mind wander amid the aromas of your favorite shampoos and soaps. It is also a distraction-free environment. There are no phones to distract you, no one to interrupt you, in most cases anyway, and it's time to be alone with your thoughts. All of these factors will also release dopamine, which can jolt otherwise sleepy and creative parts of your brain. It is also the ideal place to let loose, sing a few songs, and think outside the box. Shower time is also the time to ride the brain train. Your mind follows your body as it relaxes and enters a routine or monotonous thought process. More specifically, your prefrontal cortex, the area of your brain responsible for more complex thinking and planning, relaxes as you go into autopilot mode. Consider it the part of your brain that operates when you are deeply focused, or the voice in your head that will prevent you from throwing a drink in someone's face. When you relax your prefrontal cortex, what happens is the rest of your brain, known as the default network, kicks into high gear. This is the machinery that illuminates when you daydream or allow your mind to wander. When this is activated, new connections and solutions emerge that you would normally dismiss if you were deeply focused. The question is, did Musk know all of this before adopting the power shower lifestyle? how about breakfast? Does the business mogul eat in the morning? Well, breakfast isn't high on Musk's priority list. On his way to work, he'll stop for a coffee and, if time allows, an omelette. Otherwise, he considers breakfast to be a simple thing to skip in order to boost his working hours. Musk also checks his emails in the morning. This habit allows him to keep track of meetings, deadlines, briefings, appointments, calls to make or return, and more. It basically allows him to have an idea of what his day will look like. One thing about his emails, however, is that nobody reads his emails. His emails are strictly for his eyes only. As a family man, part of Musk's mornings go to his children, and that includes school runs. While it may seem odd that a billionaire businessman with a busy lifestyle like Musk takes his kids to school, wait till you hear the details on the school. First off, the school is located right in SpaceX's buildings, where Musk himself works, so taking his kids to school is the same as driving to work for him. And the school is not your run-of-the-mill school, it is a custom-made school to fit the future Musk envisages for his kids. Elon Musk founded the school in 2014, named Ad Astra, which means to the stars in Latin, and was housed inside of one of SpaceX's factories in Hawthorne, California. Now, what does a school founded by Musk look like? The Washington Post dubbed it something out of a sci-fi movie, and their moniker is not without merit. The school had 2 full-time teachers and 9 students at the time, 5 of whom were Musk's children. Twins Griffin and Xavier, born in 2004, and triplets Damien, Saxon, and Kai, born 2 years later. Musk has had more children since then. Musk is well known for his skepticism of traditional education. The space tycoon attended a boys' school in South Africa and has frequently spoken about how he was bullied there, which has affected many celebrities. Musk is also outspoken about his disdain for the traditional American school system. He wanted to ensure that his children had a better school experience than he did. The Tesla founder decided to remove his 5 sons from the traditional school system while they were attending Merman School in Los Angeles, a private K-8 school for gifted children. His grouse was that the skills to create the future aren't taught in school. The Musk-funded school had no math, music, or sports classes. Rather, students would collaborate on complex projects, according to the Daily Beast. There was also no foreign language classes available, owing to Musk's belief that real-time translation software would be available in the future, rendering the need to learn different languages obsolete. In order to apply to Ad Astra, prospective students had to solve a number of problems. One of these had a typical Musk twist. Applicants had to choose from a list of 11 fictional planets, which 3 would be the best and which 3 would be the worst options for a new human colony. Your kids must be extremely gifted to be accepted, but you can boost their chances by working for SpaceX. What about the rest of Musk's day? The afternoon is where it gets hectic and you might struggle to keep up. A typical workday for the average person is 8 hours long with a half-hour lunch break. Elon Musk, on the other hand, is not bound by such constraints. He works 80 to 100 hours per week, averaging 16+ hours per day, dividing his time between 5 companies. He used to divide his time between Tesla and SpaceX, with Tesla taking 42 hours of his week and SpaceX taking 40. During these hours, he is primarily concerned with the design and engineering. However, with Twitter now in the mix, the billionaire has more on his plate. Although he now tries to keep the work week to around 80 to 90 hours, there were days when he needed much more. During a particularly difficult period at Tesla, he worked up to 120+ hours per week, sleeping only a few hours at a time on the factory floor. He called the period production hell. Musk does not recommend it at all, citing a particularly dark period in his life. He also said it affected his relationship with friends and family. Tesla's factories were running 24/7 with employees working 8 to 12-hour shifts morning and night as the company scrambled to meet the demand for its electric vehicles and transform itself into a profitable big-league car company rather than a cash-burning upstart. That was a terrible time to be a Tesla employee, but they saw their leader working right alongside them from early morning to late at night, showing up anywhere and everywhere at any time. They said Musk worked until he had to crawl into a corner somewhere in Tesla's facility to catch a few winks. He admitted that he was so exhausted from his time at Tesla that he occasionally took the sleep aid Ambien. Business Insider spoke with Tesla employees about what it was like to work at the company, and it was story after story about staff discovering Musk sleeping somewhere, on the factory floor, under a desk, in a conference room. According to a Tesla Fremont production associate, there weren't always hints that Musk had pulled up a patch of floor to catch some Z's. However, in the office section of the company's main factory in Fremont, California, he could occasionally be found asleep with a pillow and blanket under a table near where a security guard was standing. Employees could walk right past Musk if they didn't know what they were looking for. Even then, employees said that Musk was never asleep on the floor for long. Do you still want to work like Musk? Now, Musk escapes to the bathroom frequently during the day and uses the time to catch up on more emails. Now, if his long hours are too much for you to bear, perhaps you'll try his meeting rules to boost your productivity. Here are Musk's rules for meetings. Rule number 1, no large gatherings. The first rule of Musk is to avoid large gatherings. Excessive meetings are a blight on big companies, and they almost always get worse over time, he says. Please leave all large meetings unless you are certain they will benefit the entire audience. Isn't that sensible? Imagine an hour-long meeting with 8 people in attendance. That meeting takes up to 8 person-hours or an entire workday. Increase the size of the meeting and you've consumed the equivalent of 2 workdays for one employee. Even if only a few people attend the meeting but get nothing out of it, you're wasting hours or days of productivity. Rule number 2, no lengthy or frequent meetings. Related to the ban on large meetings, Musk says, get rid of frequent meetings unless you're dealing with an extremely urgent matter. Once the urgent matter is resolved, the frequency of meetings should rapidly decrease. Again, more meetings mean more time talking and less time doing necessary tasks. Attendees can spend more time working if meeting frequency is reduced. Rule number 3, don't be afraid to walk away. Musk recommends that people walk out of a meeting or drop off a call as soon as it's obvious you aren't adding value. It's not impolite to leave, it's impolite to force someone to stay and waste their time. This is Musk's third and final meeting-related rule proposal. It all comes back to lost working time. Giving people the authority to leave meetings from which they are not benefiting or actively assisting others allows them to devote more time to productive tasks and reduces wasted time. And Musk has more rules for workdays in his companies that improve productivity. One of them is no acronyms or jargon. His first communication rule is to avoid using acronyms or nonsense words for objects, software, or processes. Anything that necessitates an explanation in general impedes communication. We don't want people memorizing a glossary just to get by. Acronyms and jargon have become the norm in many businesses, and it's easy to use them even if you're not targeting a specific audience. This confuses the people you're speaking with or slows things down by forcing them to ask for an explanation. Rather than saying our ITSM team uses ITIL to reduce the MTTR on break-fix issues, saying our technical support team uses a specific set of processes to solve customers' computer problems more quickly conveys the same message more effectively. Musk also believes that people should disregard the chain of command and that communication should take the shortest path necessary to complete the task. If an individual contributor has to talk to a manager who talks to a director who talks to a VP who talks to another VP who talks to a director who talks to a manager who talks to someone doing the actual work, then super dumb things will happen, he continues. Don't you agree? All of these levels of communication slow things down and increase the likelihood of misunderstandings. The fewer levels between two people who need to communicate or do something, the smoother the process. Finally, Musk says, in general, use common sense as your guide. If following a company rule is obviously absurd in a specific situation, such that it would make a great Dilbert cartoon, then the rule should be changed. Basically, if there's a more logical way to do something, go with it to increase efficiency. There is also the 5-minute rule that shapes Musk's day. Elon Musk's 5-minute rule is actually one of the most effective time management strategies. It forces you to divide your day into time blocks. Each block is dedicated to completing one or more tasks, allowing you to create a concrete schedule that outlines what you will work on and when you will work on it. Musk plans his day in 5-minute increments or time blocks using the time blocking method. Each time block is dedicated to a single task or activity. Musk, for example, would use the time blocking method to respond to overdue emails, eat meals, or schedule work meetings. Time management expert Kevin Kruse also says that different top performers in various fields organize their day through time blocks instead of to-do lists. Time blocking forces you to fill up free time with pre-commitments and a plan of action. Doing so prevents you from wasting precious time on a task that could be finished quicker. That's why time blocking is a well-known recommended time-saving tip. And another benefit of time blocking is that it reduces the number of choices you would have to make on any given day, preserving your willpower to tackle your most important tasks. Elon Musk's 5-minute rule may appear simple, but implementing it may be difficult. The main reason is that you must plan your next day's tasks by sitting in 5-minute increments. And what happens after Musk finally clocks out for the day? While many billionaires will retire to their multi-million-dollar abodes, Musk's home is a simple, boxable apartment that he doesn't even own. He rents the house from SpaceX and it sits on SpaceX's property. Musk used to own impressive homes but sold them all to avoid distractions. He was even couch surfing with friends at one point. But of course, the quality of his evenings does not depend so much on the price tag of his home, but on what he does. Musk spends his time reading. He believes a genius should know a little about everything and not just be knowledgeable in a single field. There have been claims that Musk finishes a book in a single sitting. His reading interest covers everything from sci-fi to philosophy, the news, and so forth. Musk will also spend time consuming podcasts or gaming. His favorite is Halo. Dinner is often filled with business affairs, so he gets his calories while he works on the next contract or deal. The general impression is Musk eats simply because he has to. His lunch is often a rush job of what he can quickly get his hands on before continuing with his tasks. Musk admitted he rarely took vacations, but he is not above mixing business with family time. He would take his children on business trips, for example, to China, where they will explore some tourist attractions when he's not meeting with people. Musk is not a fan of fitness. Like food, he would rather not do it if he could get away with it, but he works out every now and then, including running, weightlifting, taekwondo, karate, judo, and more. You might have also seen footage of dancing on occasion, and the consensus is that he will never appear on the list of best dancers. But hey, it's another form of exercise. Now, sometimes Musk's entertainment gets expensive. He once hired a castle in England to play hide and seek. That is a pleasure that many of us might not get thanks to our leaner resources, but the idea is to spend time with friends. Musk's day ends around 1 a.m. when he hits the sack to repeat the same things the next day. And somehow, within his busy schedule, Musk still finds the time to post on Twitter and attend to multiple lawsuits. Yes, that last one comes with the territory when you're a billionaire. Let us know if you're inspired by Musk's routine in the comments section below.